$10 million. Do you have that much? Are you going to make that much? You're going to need to. That's how much you're going to need to live the rest of your life. Are we exaggerating? Are we crazy? Well, let's take a look. Let's do some math. You see our calculator right on the screen. How do we come up with the fact that you need $10 million, not a penny less, to live life? Well, let's take a look at the numbers. So let's take $10 million. First thing you do is take out taxes. Multiply that times let's say 7.2, because most people that are going to make that much money are going to be in about a 25 to 30% tax bracket. In current tax brackets, that percentage might go up. That leaves you with how much? $7,200,000. Seems like a lot of money, but how long is that going to last you for? Let's suppose you're mid-40s, mid-50s, late 50s, and you have about 40 years left on your life, right? If you're 50 years old, maybe you live to 90. If you're 55 years old, maybe you live to 95. So if you're going to take that $7.2 million and divide it by 40 years, that leaves you with $180,000 per year. That seems like a lot of money too, right? Well, how much is that per month? Divide that by 12 months. That gives you $15,000 a month to spend. Well, now you're talking about numbers that you might be familiar with. Well, for $15,000, can't you live a pretty good life? You probably could. But let's look at what expenses might be. Right about now, if you were going to buy a reasonably upscale home, you're not buying a big, huge mansion, you're not buying, a castle, in the Highlands, but you're also not buying a cheap shack either. In most significant markets in the U.S., to buy a nice house, you're going to spend between $600,000 and $700,000. Can you find a house for $400,000, maybe $500,000? Probably can. But the median house right now is about $400,000, $406,000 or $420,000, depending on what numbers you use. So if you're going to buy a house that's a little bit above that, you're going to be spending, let's say, $650,000. Let's call it right in the middle. Well, if you put down 10% down payment, which is what most people do, and you finance about, $580,000 or $590,000, your mortgage payment is going to be $5,500 for your mortgage on your home. So let's take $15,000, subtract $5,500. That leaves you with $9,500 a month. Well, how do we come up with $5,500? Well, if you take the current price of a house in the $650,000 range minus 10% and do a mortgage that's maybe 8 or 9%, because that's probably what you're going to be at, that's going to be your payment, $5,500. That leaves you with $9,500. You're probably going to have a couple decent cars. Maybe you own one for cash. Maybe you finance one. Well, an average car right now costs $45,000 to $50,000 for a nice car. A 5-year loan on a $50,000 car is $1,000 a month. So let's take $1,000 off of that. That leaves you with $8,500. Well, if you have that, you're probably going to have your utilities, water, sewer, electric. You might have internet. You might have things like HOA fees. Those are going to be at least $1,000 a month. Let's take off $1,100 for that. That leaves you with $8,400. Well, you need to buy food. Family of 4 might be, a couple $100 a week for food. Take off $800 for food. Leaves you with $7,600. Do you have any expenses for insurance? You're going to have homeowners insurance, auto insurance, health insurance. Family of 4, you might be $15,000 to $18,000 a year in premiums. So let's take off another $1,400 a month on average for premiums. That leaves you with $6,200. You can eat out? How often do you eat out? Once a week? Twice a week? Let's say 5 times a month. Well, every time you go out, family of 4 is probably going to cost you, a couple $100, right? So times 5 times, there's another 1,000. Take off 1,000. Now you're down to 60. That was 100. So we'll take off another 900. That leaves you with $5,200 left over. Well, certainly if you're a family of 4, you have holidays. You have 4 birthdays. You have Christmas. You have Mother's Day, Father's Day, anniversary. You're going to be buying gifts. That might cost you maybe $3,000 or $4,000 a year for gifts, maybe $5,000. So average that out. That could be $400 a month. Now you're down to $4,800. Certainly, you're going to take vacations, right? So if you go on vacation twice a year, maybe it costs you $3,000 for a vacation. Maybe one you fly, stay in a hotel. One you drive, you stay in a lower end place. So that's going to be, let's say, $3,000 times 2 times a year, $6,000 divided by 12. That's going to be another $500 a month on average for vacations. Leaves you at $4,300. It's about $1,000 a week you have left over. You're going to be putting any money away for retirement. You can be putting any money away for savings. Maybe you need to have a college fund set up. Maybe you have elderly relatives that need help. So let's take $800 a month and put that away. Now you're down to $3,500. Now, if you have a house or even if you rent an apartment, you're going to have certain upkeep and maintenance and repairs and furniture, replacing appliances. Well, let's average that out to say that's going to be $700 a month. Already you're down under $3,000. You're $2,800 a month in today's dollars. That's in 2022 or 2023 dollars, not counting inflation. So you're getting pretty close down to zero. I am sure that in a monthly budget for an upper middle class family, that there are going to be other expenses we haven't even gotten into that are $2,800 a month. Clothing. You're going to have to, every once in a while, get some new clothes so you're not wearing the same old thing over and over. What about real estate taxes on your home? What about special assessments for your neighborhood? What about school expenses for school trips or for band practice or for football uniforms or for cheerleading fundraisers? A few $100s a month, right? What about external birthdays? You have at least 12 friends, meaning you have a birthday every month, right? That could be $50 a month. So as you can see, this budget is very, very quickly eroding down to $1,000, $2,000 a month. That's with a $10 million earnings over the rest of your life. So $10 million sounds like a lot, but if you are an above average family that wants to live a comfortable life, not lower class, not struggling, not paycheck to paycheck, but a comfortable life, you need to think about how are you going to accumulate or earn or generate $10 million over the rest of your life. Now, granted, you have 40 years to do it, so you have some time, but you also can't delay the start of this. So it's either putting money away, increasing your income, starting a business, creating an enterprise. Think about that number every single day, $10 million. Don't let it scare you. Don't let it demoralize you because $10 million may seem like a lot, but putting together $10 million over 40 years is doable as long as you start from day one. Tell me what your thoughts are. Am I off my rocker with thinking you need $10 million? Is it maybe privileged to think that that's the life you need to lead? Is there other ways to skin the cat? Is my math wrong? What are your thoughts?